Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. In this video I will look into yet another very popular up-and-coming data orchestration tool, Dagster. In one of my previous videos I have already reviewed one of its main competitor, Prefect.io, and my first impression was not that positive. So I hope that Dagster will be a different story. So let's get into it. First, I want to Google installation documentation to Dagster, so I will just type in Dagster install, and here I see the first search results pointing to GitHub repository, so I will click into it. And according to the getting started documentation, Dagster can be installed with just one command. So I will go into my development folder and I will create a new folder specifically for Dagster project. I will name it Dagster. I will also fire up the terminal, and in our newly created Dagster folder I will create a completely new Python virtual environment. So I will type in pip environment Python 3.8, and with our new virtual environment ready, I will start a Python shell. Now, according to the installation documentation, we can install the Dagster with a simple command pip environment install Dagster and degit. Okay, it took a while, but now the installation is done. So let's continue with our Dagster demo. So according to the GitHub, Dagster is a core programming model and abstract stack, stateless, single node, single process and multi-process execution engines. And degit, on the other hand, is a user interface for developing and operating Dagster pipelines, including a Dag browser and a live execution interface. And to try Dagster, they also include a simple Hello Dagster tutorial. So I will open Visual Studio Code and let's try our first Dagster demo. So I have Visual Studio Code ready, and in the Dagster project folder, I will create a new hello dagster.py. And in this file, we will import execute pipeline, and solid functions from Dagster library. Then we will define our first Dagster function. They call them solids. So here we have a simple function getName, which returns a simple string Dagster, and we will transform this simple function into solid by the decorator solid. Next, we will create a simple function hello, which will take context and a name with the type string as input parameters. Of course, the function is decorated with our solid decorator. And what functions do is it logs a simple hello name, where I guess the name variable will be taken from getName function. And finally, since we have our solids, we will create our first pipeline called hello pipeline, which is also a simple Python function. But by using a simple Dagster decorator, we transform the simple function into the Dagster pipeline. And in this pipeline, we called hello function, and inside the hello function, we called getName function. Then we can execute our pipeline with the command Dagster pipeline execute hello dagster.py. And it seems like Dagster printed a lot of logs. So first it started the pipeline, it executed hello pipeline.py, it spawned its own process for its engine event, and it started the getName function and returned the result of type any. It stored the return value into an object and it ended this step with a success. Then after it finished getName function, it started with the execution of hello solid. And according to the logs, it retrieved the return value of the name from the object store using pickle, and it inputted the value into hello function. As you can see, it outputted hello Dagster. And after this step, the whole pipeline finished the execution with the status pipeline success. I am quite surprised that Dagster provides a lot of debug information in the console, and it is very clear what's going on. Now let's look at its user interface, degit. According to documentation, we can start degit user interface with the command degit hello dagster.py. And here you can see that Dagster server just started and it is accessible on this URL http localhost port 3000. So let's copy paste the URL and check out in the browser. Wow, it just works. I am very impressed because unlike the prefect user interface, the Dagster dashboard just works. I didn't have to register the flow, I didn't have to write multiple lines of code and install Docker. With the Dagster, I just executed one command and the whole user interface load without any issues. So let's look closely what the Git user interface offers. So initially, the Git loaded the definition window where we see our hello Dagster pipeline. And if I click on the one of the objects, I see that it provides a complete information about this function. So the function gets name, outputs the results, and the output goes into hello function input parameter called name. But because we didn't specify any types for the return variable, the results can contain variable of any type. Okay, what about hello function? It takes the getName result in the form of input variable name and it transforms the type of the input variable into string. And because it doesn't output anything, the results can be of any type. That will be the pipeline definition. What about the pipeline overview? Here is just an overview of the pipeline graph, and it displays basic information about pipeline schedules and the recent pipeline runs. Now in the pipeline playground, I see that I can execute the function. So let's do that. And it just executed our hello Dagster pipeline. It shows very conveniently in the timeline the order of the execution. So first, the getName function was executed. It outputted a result variable. The variable was saved into the object store in the form of pickle. Apparently, the pickle is saved into intermediate/getName.compute/results folder. And the getName function finished with steps finished status. And the speed of execution was only 45 milliseconds. Next, the hello compute was called and the function start execution by retrieving the saved object from the results folder and it passed into the input parameter. Then it printed the whole string into the console because we called context.log, so the whole variable was printed into the console. And it seems again that it stored the value in the results folder again, even though the function itself doesn't return any value whatsoever. This debug window also allows you to filter the messages by logging types. So if some critical error appears, then you can hide everything else and just displays the critical errors. It seems like it can also show you the slow wait path, which can be helpful if you have a very complex pipeline with multiple trees and multiple execution scenarios. And I guess in that case, it can show you the execution path that takes the most time. Okay, what else? If I click on the logo, what happens? Nothing. It seems like this is just an overview of the Dagster configuration. I hope that most of these settings can be changed because I'm not comfortable storing too much data in my Windows hard disk. Otherwise, it seems like the Dagster uses SQLite storage for storing the objects and it also has its own scheduler. Alright, so let's leave this configuration page for now and let's check out the runs page. And on this page, I see this is just a simple list of our pipelines. And on this page, we can either view the configuration, re-execute this pipeline, or open the pipeline in the playground. We can even download the file for debugging. It's very convenient. Alright, what about assets page? Assets page is an asset-aware event storage, for example, Postgres event log storage. The storage must be configured in order to use any asset-based features. You can configure this on your instance through dagster.yaml. Apparently, in Dagster, an asset is the abstract representation of data artifact produced and persisted by Solid. These assets are generated persisted to storage to Dagster, either database table or analytics dashboard, and is side effect of the Solid computation. The act of persisting an asset is called a materialization, and Solid can express materialization by yielding an asset materialization event. And if I look at the examples, it seems like I can store pandas data frames into the Postgres Dagster storage, which might be useful if you want to use the materialized data later in the execution pipeline. And lastly, let's check the scheduler page, and it shows me the message that Dagster instance does not have a scheduler configured. A scheduler must be configured on the distance to run schedules. Therefore, the schedules below are not currently running. You can configure a scheduler on the instance through Dagster YAML file in Dagster Home. See the instant configuration documentation for more information. Well, I'm very curious about this functionality because if I compare it to Prefect, and if I remember it correctly, Prefect.io has some kind of a simple scheduling functionality, but still you would have to create your own cron that would run the scheduler itself. So I'm very curious if Dagster has a more fully featured scheduler than Prefect.io. So let's check the instance configuration documentation. So first I need to figure out where is the Dagster home. Okay, after a bit of googling, I guess it is some kind of an environmental variable in the Windows that I have to set. So I will open the environment variable system window and I will create a new variable called Dagster home, and I will give it an absolute path to a new folder that I will create. I will click OK, save the variable, and now I have to create a YAML file inside the scheduler folder that I just created. So I will fire up the Visual Studio Code and I will create a new Dagster.yaml file. And in this file, I will copy paste the settings that is recommended by the tutorial. Seems like it's just a bunch of login informations for Postgres database, not only for run storage, but also for event log storage, and lastly for Postgres schedule storage. So I will save the file, and now if I refresh the dashboard and click on scheduler, it doesn't seem to have any impact. Maybe I have the system environment variable wrong. So I will try to delete the $sign from Dagster home variable. I will save the settings and nothing changed. Okay guys, I'm back after a few hours of fiddling with the Dagster home system environment. As a last resort, I tried to restart my computer, and what happened is that I made a progress. I realized that when I started a virtual environment again, it picked up the last system environment that I have saved before. And as you remember, I put the $sign Dagster home as a folder for my YAML configuration. And after trying to start Dagit again, I got the error that Dagster.yaml is not directory or it does not exist. So what does it mean is that, for one, I don't have to put the $sign into $sign Dagit home. If I leave the $sign in the folder name, Dagster won't pick up the correct path. So I removed the $sign and I realized that it is wrong to put the Dagster.yaml into the path system environment variable. And when I tried to restart the terminal to pick up the environment variable again, and firing up the Dagit showed me yet another error. The failure condition is following: could not import module Dagster Postgres run storage when attempt to load the configurable class register Postgres run storage. So just give me a few minutes and I will try to Google it up. Alright, okay, after looking through the Dagster GitHub, it seems like there are plenty of Python modules that are not installed with the Dagster installation command. And it seems like most of these Python modules are an integration to the various databases and other libraries. For example, Pandas, Celery, PySpark. So I guess I have to install Dagster/Postgres into my Dagster project. Let's type in pip environment install Dagster/Postgres. Dagster Postgres module is installed. Now I will try to run dagit with dagit hello dagster.py. Alright, it seems like I got yet another error. And the error tells me that I have not defined the Postgres login variables. For example, Dagster PG username, Dagster PG password, and Dagster PG host, and Dagster PG database. And I guess those configurations can be set in our YAML file. And by looking at YAML file, it is actually a system environment variable. So if I want to make it happen, I will have to first create Postgres database and then create all those system environment variables that are defined in the YAML file. So I will start dbeaver because it is very easy to create a new database from scratch. And in dbeaver, under the Postgres user, I will create a completely new database and I will call it Dagster. Next, I will add those system environment variables. As for Dagster PG username, I will use Postgres as a default Postgres user. As a Dagster PG password, I will type in my password that is tied to the Postgres user. As for my Dagster PG host, I will just use localhost. And lastly, I will define Dagster PG DB with the value Dagster. And now it should work. It doesn't work because could not import module Dagster AVS Compute Log Manager. Do I even need Amazon Web Services? Because first, I don't have Amazon Web Services account. Second, I guess I have to turn it off somewhere here. Yeah, so I will just comment out these lines where the Amazon Web Services are defined. I will save Dagster YAML file, and yet again, I will try to run the dagit in the new terminal window. And it doesn't have the cron scheduler, which I guess I will need for the scheduling. So let's install the cron scheduler. So I will install Dagster/cron. Cool, let's try it again. Alright, it seems like after a long time the server is running. I'm very curious if I get that instance does not exist error. So everything seems fine. Let's look at the scheduler. Yes, and scheduler is finally set up, but it seems like I don't have any pipeline with the scheduler set. So let's try to create our first schedule. Okay, it seems like I have to create a scheduler.py file. So in this folder I will create scheduler.py and I will copy paste the example from Dagster documentation, but instead of hello serial pipeline I will use hello Dagster pipeline. And I will set the execution date today, so it's November 4th, and I want it to execute in 3 minutes. But first I have to import time, I guess, together with date time. And we will want to call hello Dagster pipeline here, but we don't want to set any inputs. I will leave it blank, maybe. And except for the schedule, we will have to create a new repository. I have to also import the decorators, and I have to import my pipeline. From hello Dagster import hello pipeline. Now I think everything is set, so I will try to fire up the scheduler with the command Dagster schedule up. And now I want to test if the scheduler is working, so I will try the command Dagster schedule up, and it throws an error, no arguments given and workspace YAML not found. Okay, what is workspace.yaml? It wants me to create a workspace.yaml configuration file with the configuration load from Python file repos.py. But I guess I have to create the repos.py as well. But let's just try the schedule up command to see if the error changes. Yeah, so the system cannot find repos.py, of course. So in the repos.py, I should put this function hello serial repository where I define the hello pipeline with good morning schedule. Let's import the important files also from scheduler.py, import good morning schedule. and from Dagster import repository decorator. Now I think we have everything set up. Let's try the Dagster schedule up preview command again, and there's another error. Type error, module object is not callable. I guess I should not have include .py. So in the scheduler py, there's an error with the datetime definition. Okay, so I guess I should import the datetimes as from datetime import datetime. Let's try again. Alright, it seems like I used the wrong library. It's not time, but it's a time function from datetime library. So hopefully now it will work as expected. Yep, good morning schedule was added into scheduler. Then we will run the command Dagster schedule up, and then we will start the scheduler with Dagster schedule start good morning schedule. And yet another error. Please specify user or file name to write. It tries to start the cron job and it tries to write something somewhere. And for this issue there seems to be a dead end for me because there's an issue on GitHub, and issue states that on Windows there is no way you can run the cron that Dagster uses. And according to the GitHub activity, it will be fixed by new scheduler. In scheduler runs add groups, and this was posted 9 days ago. So okay guys, this is truly end of the video because there's no way I can set up a scheduler on Dagster on Windows. It is a disappointment because I expected that I would have a fully functional data pipeline orchestration tool, and since the prefect did not meet my expectations and Dagster seems so promising, it is very disappointing that there's a bug that prevents me from using the Dagster scheduler on Windows. And I guess if I want to use scheduler on Windows in any form, I would have to either use it as a manual data pipeline tool, which means even if I refactor all my data pipeline code base from async.io to Dagster, the only use case I see is that I would have a super nice dashboard that will show me all the dependencies, and I would be able to just run my data flow with one click. There would be no way in the world that I can schedule the data pipeline using Dagster cron. So let's wait few months and see if they will do something with this bug. And if this video will get, I don't know, 1000 views, then I will create yet another video when the bug will be fixed. So I think in overall, Dagster is much more promising than Prefect just because it works out of the box. It doesn't have that complicated user interface, and even the code itself is just about putting the decorator at the right place. So that will be all from my side. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.